Welcome back to another video from Between CAD Classes. Today we are back in Autodesk Fusion 360 creating another part model. Here you can see the completed part. Before we get into it, let's take a look at the workflow that we're going to use today. First, we're going to start by creating the rectangular base feature. Then we are going to add the raised feature with the curved shape. Next, we'll add a hole to that shape. Then we will add a hole to the base. Then using the mirror command, we will mirror that over to the other side. Then we will add some chamfers to the corners of the base feature. And then finally, we will add the extruded raised feature on the base. Let's take a look at the detailed drawing so that we can get the dimensions for our base to start with. We can see that the base of the part is 200 millimeters wide by 128 millimeters deep, and it's going to be extruded a height of 32. Back in Fusion, the first thing I want to make sure is that I've got the correct units set. I'll expand document settings. I can see my units are currently inches, so I'm going to change my active units to millimeters. Next, I'm going to sketch, and since I'm creating the base feature, I'm going to sketch on the bottom horizontal plane here. Then I will start by creating my rectangle. I know at some point I want to mirror a hole over a middle plane, so I'm going to create my base centered around the origin. To do that, instead of using the traditional rectangle command, I'm going to click the Create drop-down, point to Rectangle, and then choose Center Rectangle. This will allow me to click the origin as my center, then I can put in my values. So it was a depth of 128, and then I'll tab over and put in a width of 200. Then I will go ahead and finish my sketch and extrude this shape up the height of 32. And now I've got my base feature. The next feature we're going to add is the raised feature in the back. So let's take a look at the detailed drawing again to see what the dimensions are. We can see that there's a curved shape with a radius of 76 up top here, and it is 108 millimeters from the top of the base. It's also centered above that base as well. Finally, we can see that it's going to be extruded a depth of 26. Back in Fusion then, I'm going to sketch on the back of the part, so I'll revolve around and click on that back surface. I'm going to click the Create drop-down and choose Projector Include Project, and choose this top line here so that I can use it in my sketch. Then click OK. Next, I'm going to draw the shape in arbitrarily. I'll come back and add constraints and dimensions in just a bit. So I'll start at one of the corners here and draw an angled line. Then to create a tangent arc, I'm going to click and drag off of this endpoint to once again make a tangent arc. Then I'll go ahead and draw down to the opposite endpoint. Next, I'll add some constraints. I can see that a tangent constraint was added here on the left side, but not the right side. So I'll come in with my tangent constraint and add that in there on the right side. Next, I want to center this shape. I could perhaps use a vertical constraint between some points, but if I make both sides equal, that will automatically pull this into a vertical relationship between the center and the shape. Then I have two dimensions to place: the radius of the arc, which we noted was 76, and the center of the arc is 108 millimeters from this top surface. So I'll dimension from the top surface to the center of the arc, 108. Now I could draw in the circular shape here and extrude it all as one, but it makes more sense to do that as a separate feature. That way I can modify the hole more easily, or delete it or suppress it if I want later. So I'll go ahead and finish sketch, extrude this shape, and looks like it's going to be negative to go into the part, and that's going to be a negative 26 then for this part. I'll go ahead and click home so it'll rotate back around. Next, I'm going to add the hole. So let's take a look at the detailed drawing, and we can see that it is a diameter of 80 and it cuts all the way through this feature. I'm going to use the hole command, and to create a concentric hole, it's going to take two clicks. The first click is somewhere on the face, and the second click is going to be on the concentric reference, in this case this arc. Next, I can go ahead and adjust the diameter. So it was 80. Then I can adjust the depth. It's currently set to a distance. I'll go ahead and choose through all. Then I'll click OK. Next, I'm going to add one of the holes to the base. So let's look at the detailed drawing, and we can see that there are two of these holes with a diameter of 52. They are 54 millimeters back from the front of the part, and they're in 46 millimeters from each side. And they cut completely through the base. So back in Fusion, I will choose my hole command. I'm going to click somewhere on the top surface. I'll worry about the diameter last. I want to do my references first, so I will click the front edge as my first reference, and I will enter in the value of 54 and enter. Then I will click the second reference, the side here, and enter in my value of 46. Next, I will come over and adjust the diameter, which should be 52. And I want to make sure that it's set to cut all the way through the part. Then I will click OK. Next, I want to recreate the hole on the left side. I could certainly do that as a separate hole command, but mirroring it gives me a little more flexibility so that if this hole changes either size or location, the other one will update. You'll remember that I started this base centered around the origin, so I have a plane here of YZ that runs right through the middle of the part. So that is going to be my mirror plane. To mirror the shape, I will click the Create drop-down, then choose the Mirror command. First, I need to select the objects I want to mirror and make sure it's set to features. You can see there's some different options here. So I'm mirroring a feature. I will select that feature. Then I will choose my Select Mirror Plane button, and I will select my YZ mirror plane. Then click OK. Now you can see the second hole has been generated. Next, I'm going to add in the chamfered corners. So looking at the detailed drawing, we can see that the chamfer is going to be 38 by 38. Back in Fusion then, I'm going to use the chamfer command, which is hidden in the Modify panel. I'll select Modify, then Chamfer. I'll select my two vertical edges. Then I will enter in my value of 38. By default, it's set to the same distance each direction. So I will just go ahead and click OK. Finally, I will add the raised extruded feature on the base. Looking at the detailed drawing, we can see that this feature is 36 millimeters wide. It's centered on the base, which also puts it 44 millimeters from the nearest chamfered corner. We can see in the front view that it is 10 millimeters tall. Back in Fusion then, I will create a new sketch on this top surface. I'm going to create a rectangular shape, and I'll just click on each of these edges to automatically create a collinear constraint between them. Then I can add in my dimensions. So the width of the feature was 36, and it was 44 from the nearest corner here. Go ahead and finish, and extrude the height of 10, and then enter. And that completes my mechanical part. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe, as I will be continuing to post more Fusion 360 tutorials. Thanks for watching.